Good evening, everyone. Happy Monday. At least it's a happy Monday for me because I got the day off. I apologize to everyone else for whom that is not the case, but it's definitely the case for me. And I'm not going to complain. I'll try to do what I can to spread some of that day off cheer to the rest of you with another live reading. Continuing in our Cthulhu Mythos series, we have approached Chapter 2 of the Dunwich Horror by H.P. Lovecraft. And it looks like this one's going to be a short one as well, which is good for me because I plan on streaming probably some more Alice later as well to close out a good night. Know what I mean? So making this a short one so I can make the gaming stream a bit of a longer one is certainly conducive to my wants and intentions, even if it is not to anyone else's. So, I hope you all are enjoying the day as best as you can. Those of you who are working and those of you who maybe not. And I hope this live reading, whatever the condition of your day is, my prayer is that it will make it a little better. Now, for those of you who are new to this, first of all, welcome. Please subscribe to my Twitch, to my YouTube, to my Instagram if it tickles your fancy. I'm trying to become an affiliate over here and I'm not too far away from that. So any support that you can offer right now would be greatly appreciated. Greatly appreciated. But in the meantime, if you have already subscribed and you're already a member of the cited, welcome back. And get ready for another bout of the Dunwich Horror by H.P. Lovecraft. And this is going to be Chapter 2. Also, another note for those who may be new to this, these live readings are not rehearsed, they are not prepared. I have not even read this story myself before, even in private. So this is going to be just as new for me as it is for you. And as such, you may hear some hiccups, some mistakes here and there, some blemishes that you wouldn't find in, say, a professional audiobook production of the same. So just imagine that we're all sitting in this cozy little book nook in this this cabin-type environment with this fireplace going on and the cold pouring autumn rain outside, chilling next to our warm fireplace, a warmer drink, and just a good, thrilling, chilling tale of the Eldritch. So without further ado, welcome once again, and let us continue with The Dunwich Horror by H.P. Lovecraft. Chapter 2. It was in the township of Dunwich, in a large and partly inhabited farmhouse, set against a hillside 4 miles from the village, and 1.5 miles from any other dwelling, that Wilbur Whately was born at 5 a.m. on Sunday, the 2nd of February, 1913. This date was recalled because it was Candlemas, which people in Dunwich curiously observe under another name, and because the noises in the hills had sounded and all the dogs of the countryside had barked persistently throughout the night before. Less worthy of notice was the fact that the mother was one of the decadent Whateleys, a somewhat deformed, unattractive albino woman of 35, living with an aged and half-insane father, about whom the most frightful tales of wizardry had been whispered in his youth. Lavinia Whately had no known husband, but according to the custom of the region, made no attempt to disavow the child, concerning the other side of whose ancestry the country folk might and did speculate as widely as they chose. On the contrary, she seemed strangely proud of the dark, goatish-looking infant, who formed such a contrast to her own sickly and pink-eyed albinism, and was heard to mutter many curious prophecies about its unusual powers and tremendous future. Lavinia was one who would be apt to mutter such things, for she was a lone creature given to wandering amidst thunderstorms in the hills, and trying to read the great odorous books which her father had inherited through 2 centuries of Whateleys, and which were fast falling to pieces with age and wormholes. She had never been to school, but was filled with disjointed scraps of ancient lore that old Whately had taught her. The remote farmhouse had always been feared because of old Whately's reputation for black magic, and the unexplained death by violence of Mrs. Whately when Lavinia was 12 years old had not helped to make the place popular. Isolated among strange influences, Lavinia was fond of wild and grandiose daydreams and singular occupations, nor was her leisure much taken up by household cares in a home from which all standards of order and cleanliness had long since disappeared. There was a hideous screaming which echoed above even the hill noises, and the dogs barking on the night Wilbur was born. But no known doctor or midwife presided at his coming. Neighbors knew nothing of him till a week afterward, when old Whately drove his sleigh through the snow into Dunwich village and discoursed incoherently to the group of loungers at Osborne's general store. There seemed to be a change in the old man, an added element of furtiveness in the clouded brain which subtly transformed him from an object to a subject of fear. Though he was not one to be perturbed by any common family event. Amidst it all, he showed some trace of the pride later noticed in his daughter, and what he said of the child's paternity was remembered by many of his hearers afterward. "I don't care what folks think. If Lavini's boy looks like his pa, he wouldn't look like nothing you expect. You needn't think the only folks is the folks hereabouts. Lavini's read some and has seed some things the most of you only talk about. I calculate her man is as good a husband as ye can find this side of Aylesbury. And if you knowed as much about the Heels as I do, you wouldn't ask no better church wedding nor in. Let me tell you something. Some day you folks will hear a child of Lavinia's a calling his father's name on the top of Sentinel Hill." The only persons who saw Wilbur during the first month of his life were old Zechariah Whately, of the undecayed Whateleys, and Earl Sawyer's common-law wife, Mammy Bishop. Mammy's visit was frankly one of curiosity, and her subsequent tales did justice to her observations. But Zachariah came to lead a pair of Alderney cows, which old Whately had bought of his son Curtis. This marked the beginning of a course of cattle buying on the part of small Wilbur's family, which ended only in 1928, when the Dunwich horror came and went. Yet at no time did the ramshackle Whately barn seem overcrowded with livestock. There came a period when people were curious enough to steal up and count the herd that grazed precariously on the steep hillside above the old farmhouse, and they could never find more than 10 or 12 anemic, bloodless-looking specimens. Evidently, some blight or distemper, perhaps sprung from the unwholesome pasturage or the diseased fungi and timbers of the filthy barn, caused a heavy mortality amongst the Whately animals. Odd wounds or sores, having something of the aspect of incisions, seemed to afflict the visible cattle, and once or twice during the earlier months certain callers fancied they could discern similar sores about the throats of the gray, unshaven old man and his slatternly, crinkly-haired albino daughter. In the spring after Wilbur's birth, Lavinia resumed her customary rambles in the hills, bearing in her misproportioned arms the swarthy child. Public interest in the Whateleys subsided after most of the country folk had seen the baby, and no one bothered to comment on the swift development which that newcomer seemed every day to exhibit. Wilbur's growth was indeed phenomenal, for within 3 months of his birth he had attained a size and muscular power not usually found in infants under a full year of age. His motions and even his vocal sounds showed a restraint and deliberateness highly peculiar in an infant, and no one was really unprepared when at 7 months he began to walk, unassisted, with falterings which another month was sufficient to remove. It was somewhat after this time, on Halloween, that a great blaze was seen at midnight on the top of Sentinel Hill, where the old table-like stone stands amidst its tumulus of ancient bones. Considerable talk was started when Silas Bishop, of the undecayed bishops mention having seen the boy running sturdily up that hill ahead of his mother about an hour before the blaze was remarked. Silas was rounding up a stray heifer, but he nearly forgot his mission when he fleetingly spied the two figures in the dim light of his lantern. They darted, almost noiselessly, through the underbrush, and the astonished watcher seemed to think they were entirely unclothed. Afterward, he could not be sure about the boy, who may have had some kind of a fringed belt and a pair of dark trunks or trousers on. Wilbur was never subsequently seen alive and conscious without complete and tightly buttoned attire, the disarrangement or threatened disarrangement of which always seemed to fill him with anger and alarm. His contrast with his squalid mother and grandfather in this respect was thought very notable until the horror of 1928 suggested the most valid of reasons. The next January gossips were mildly interested in the fact that Lavini's black brat had commenced to talk, and at the age of only 11 months. His speech was somewhat remarkable, both because of its difference from the ordinary accents of the region, and because it displayed a freedom from infantile lip-sync of which many children of 3 or 4 might well be proud. The boy was not talkative, yet when he spoke, he seemed to reflect some elusive element, wholly unpossessed by Dunwich and its denizens. The strangeness did not reside in what he said, or even in the simple idioms he used, but seemed vaguely linked with his intonation, or with the internal organs that produced the spoken sounds. His facial aspect, too, was remarkable for its maturity, for though he shared his mother's and grandfather's chinlessness, his firm and precociously shaped nose united with the expression of his large, dark, almost Latin eyes to give him an air of quasi-adulthood and well-nigh preternatural intelligence. He was, however, exceedingly ugly, despite his appearance of brilliancy, there being something almost goatish or animalistic about his thick lips, large-pored yellowish skin, coarse crinkly hair, and oddly elongated ears. He was soon disliked, even more decidedly than his mother and grandsire, and all conjectures about him were spiced with references to the bygone magic of old Whately, and how the hills once shook when he shrieked the dreadful name of Yog-Sothoth in the midst of a circle of stones, with a great book open in his arms before him. Dogs abhorred the boy, and he was always obliged to take various defensive measures against their barking menace. That was Chapter 2 of The Dunwich Horror by H.P. Lovecraft. I hope you all enjoyed that live reading, brief as it was, comfortably brief as it was. It seems like quite a few of these chapters are rather brief. I may have to pare these up a little bit. Chapter 3, from what I observe, is only like 3 or 4 pages long. So maybe for the next one, we'll do 2 chapters at a time. This entire short story, as I gather, is 10 chapters long in total. So at this rate, it may take us like 10 days to get through the whole thing. That doesn't seem like a very sensible use of our time. So I'll see about pairing the chapters together next time so we can get through it with a bit more expediency, so that we can get on to the next entry in the Cthulhu mythos, because as far as I can tell, we're far from done. But again, anyone listening to this live, thank you. Anyone listening to this as a recording, thank you as well. welcome to the channel, and I hope that you will subscribe wherever you happen to find this recording, be it YouTube or Twitch. If it's on Facebook, I pray that you go to either YouTube or Twitch and subscribe there. Seeking to become a Twitch affiliate by the end of the year in particular, so any subscription or support there will be most appreciated. I'll be back online soon, in fact, to continue in my playthrough of Alice Madness Returns. It seems like a good use of my time for the evening before I continue on to my other obligations. So I will see you all soon then. But right before closing out this stream, I'll leave you with a little bit of music to chew on, see if there's anything you like in that dark lo-fi channel that I love so much. But in the meantime, until we speak again, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and God bless. I'll see you soon.
It seems our will is worthless, like we're pawns beneath the sky. Raised by reason, and passion's just a whim. Left it so I breathe in, keep myself from giving in.
On a man-made lake, there's a sheet of thin ice where unskilled skaters couldn't figure 8 twice. That's 16, uncut, direct from the coast. Head on a soul, the result, death by the in the votes. It spoke about the average lost mission that was seen by a king in a prophetic vision, like a plane crash from a bomb blast. Special broadcast, slot time with Comcast. They kept the jury quiet, and then the riot performed. While satanic man now hanging his door. I swing on you fake radio personalities who boost your ratings with hypes behind 5 shots with low pressure water gunplay, but instantly slap your 5 like it's Palm Sunday. I fashioned the first tools from the elements the earth used and built it to a network of communications. You're up against a hopeless situation. I screened every vehicle from enemy observation. Swarming unpredictably, we spread terror, increase the fog significantly, change the era. Check my wind pattern, it's heading west. Success is freedom, but failure can mean death. Human sweat and aim shovels, dig up debris and rubble. Permanent damage caused by the double. You now who carelessly urge you to merge through and think the work will serve you. The sonic marvel who just dropped the next novel. Wide rapidly more than marvel. It's the countless amount of rap I saved. And the same wanna squander those gifts I gave.